21Alive First Alert Forecast. Brought to you by Groundworks.
Good afternoon. You're taking a live look over Fort Wayne, a little bit of a different view than what we were experiencing this morning here in the Summit City. At least we were having to deal with some rain showers, but now we've got some blue sky out there, and that's always good to see, especially as we're starting to head out to lunch, at least for some of us anyway. First Alert meteorologist Caleb Saylor here, and there's still a few patches of drizzle that are out there across 21 country, and that's possible throughout the day, but the rain chance today is looking really low for any one particular location. Now, over the next 7 days, we want to give you the first alert now that the dry weather pattern that we were experiencing is going to make a return, and so too will warmer temperatures. Let's talk about right now, though, because like I said, we do have a few patches of drizzle that are still out there. First Alert satellite and radar shows that we've got one heavier rain shower just moving through southern Huntington County, getting ready to move into Wells County. But if you live Fort Wayne and places north, it looks like you're going to be mostly dry. And like I said just a second ago, the rain chance for any one particular location is pretty low today. You can see it's in the single digits, but still a patch of drizzle is still possible out there. There's still some gloominess in the sky. So if you're getting ready to head out to lunch over the next few minutes, you probably want to sit inside. Temperatures, yes, will be comfortable around your noon hour. We're in the upper 60s, but like I said, there's still some gloominess. There's still the possibility of a stray patch of drizzle through lunchtime and for parts of the afternoon. That's what First Alert Future Track is showing here. We've got a few pops of green that are going to show up this afternoon. So while, yes, it does look like a lot of the area is going to be dry, you can see that there's a stray rain shower trying to pop up to the south of Fort Wayne, some off to the northwest coming in off the lake, and we might see a few of those last into the late afternoon as these winds start to move in some of that moisture off of Lake Michigan. So a few stray patches of drizzle possible this afternoon. You need to cancel your outdoor plans this afternoon? No, I don't think so. But you might have to be prepared to go inside for 20 minutes and then that patch of drizzle moves away and you don't really have to worry about it. I don't think the rain's going to be a huge deal this afternoon, but we still want to give you the first alert now that, a spot of drizzle is definitely possible this afternoon. But like I said, conditions are looking like they're going to be drier as we get to the weekend. I'll talk about that here in just a second. Let's talk about temperatures this afternoon. Not particularly warm, although about where we're supposed to be for this time of year. This afternoon, we're getting into the low 70s, about 73, 74, 75 degrees. And then we're adding a few degrees each day. So while we might get to 75 degrees today, Friday, we're at 78. And then look at the weekend. These are temperatures much more reminiscent of late August. 81, 82 degrees, even into Monday, low 80s for the highs. Typically, like I said, this time of year, we're supposed to be in the mid-70s, around 74 degrees. So we have a weather pattern change that's coming up over the next few days, and that's why I had those last two bullet points of drier weather making a return and the warmer weather. They're coinciding with each other, and it does look like it's going to last for a little while. This is the temperature outlook extending for the first full week, full 7 days of October. This is October 3rd to the 9th. And the darker the shade of orange, the darker the shade of red, the higher confidence that we will see above average temperatures. Typically, what this corresponds with is that when you've got a darker shade of orange, the higher the temperatures will be. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean like Iowa is going to be warmer than Indiana per se. But when we think about what the temperature is supposed to be for this time of year, well, how much higher is it actually going to be above normal? And that's what that darker shade of red indicates, is that temperatures are more likely to be more above normal, therefore expected to be a bit warmer. So this warm trend looks like it's going to hang around for a little while. I can't confidently say that we'll see any more 80-degree days outside of the 3 that we're going to experience over the weekend and into next week, but it's definitely possible. I mean, it's not uncommon for October to see some 80-degree days. Now, the dry weather is looking like it's going to hang around too in that same time frame. This is October 3rd through the 9th. This is not a particularly dark shade of brown, so the confidence is a little lower, but it still does look like we're going to see a lesser amount of precipitation than what we would typically experience for this time of year. Fall is not the wettest season in Northeast Indiana and Northwest Ohio, so this is not uncommon to see that we're going to see some dry weather at about this time, but we know that we need the rain. Yes, over the past couple of days, 1 or 2 locations has experienced rainfall up to 2 to 3 inches, and that's going to be reflected in the drought monitor next week. So there has been some relief, but a lot of the area is still really dry, and this is the drought monitor that was updated this morning. You might remember last week's drought monitor. We were talking about this, and I want to draw, if I can find it here. There was an area approximately here in this yellow circle, included parts of Allen County, Wells County, Adams County, Paulding, and Van Wert that was under severe drought. That's level 2 out of 4. It's that shade of orange that we see. It was primarily contained into that area. But with the dry weather that we've been experiencing for the past week, well, now it looks like this is expanded. Yes, we have seen rain. And I talked about this over the weekend, that the rain that we saw Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, likely not going to turn drought conditions around. And in fact, for a lot of places, drought conditions have worsened. And with the dry weather pattern coming up over the next several days, except for those locations that saw the isolated 2-3 inches of rain, I expect drought conditions to worsen for a lot of 21 countries. So it's not necessarily good news for some of the farmers out there that are having to make the tough decision about whether they get out into the fields and harvest now versus do we hedge our bets and try to wait a little bit longer for things to naturally dry out. And it's a tough situation to be in, unfortunately, but that looks like that's going to be the weather pattern over the next several days and maybe the next couple of weeks, is warmer than average as well as drier than normal. So that's what you can expect, at least in the large scale, the broad sense of things over the next couple of weeks.